The NFL playoffs are here. What is up, everybody? Mike from True Business Review. And today, our NFL regular season weekly predictions might have come to an end, but we still have time to predict each playoff game. So, you might think this is fake, but if you've been following this series, you know it isn't. This is our final record between me and Dan. We predicted every game every week. What? We came all this way? 17 weeks just to tie. It's brutal, but hey, we move on, all right? We move. On to Wild Card Weekend, where we have 6 games of the 12 best teams in the league, besides the 2 that, got the first round bye. We'll talk about them too. So let's start things right off predicting the Colts versus Bills. That's the first game of the week, Saturday, 1 o'clock. So the Colts got into the playoffs by the grace of God. The Bills, the team they're playing, had to beat the Dolphins for them to make it, and the Bills didn't beat the Dolphins. They slaughtered them. The Bills proved they're higher on the food chain than the Miami Dolphins. They sit alone atop the AFC East. Whereas the Colts got carried by Jonathan Taylor into a victory against the Jaguars. Jonathan Taylor had over 150 yards rushing that game against Jacksonville, and the Colts look like a pretty good team right now. In their past 5 or 6 games, they've scored over 26 points every single game. They're putting up double digits consistently, which is one thing I was worried about heading into the season. I was worried about Phillip Rivers, but the offensive line gives him enough time. He's able to control the game a little bit. So the Indianapolis Colts offense is able to put up double-digit points. Then we look at the Buffalo Bills. Oh my gosh. The Buffalo Bills could put up triple-digit points if they wanted to. The Bills, at the beginning of the year, I predicted the Buffalo Bills to be 13-3. I predicted them to make the Super Bowl at the beginning of the year, and that looks good right now. I'm going to make a video about predicting every single game as of right now, like even the next round of the playoffs before it even happens. So you'll get to see my Super Bowl favorites coming up soon, so make sure you subscribe right now. But the Bills, they put up 56 against Miami, 38 against New England, 48 against the Broncos. Now, granted, those teams aren't the best. Miami has a pretty solid defense, though, so that's definitely impressive from Buffalo. And then they beat the Steelers in a nice game, and they beat the 49ers. Nice. Oh, my gosh. The Bills are beating good teams. They're losing to nobody. Nobody beats the Buffalo Bills. They lost to the Cardinals in the Hail Mary. That's really it. I haven't seen that many weak spots from the Bills in this entire year. The Bills' offense looks really good. Josh Allen's having a great year. Stephon Diggs brings it all together. Who am I picking? Colts versus Bills. Oh. It pains me to do this. Just kidding. This is the easiest game of the week to predict. Jonathan Taylor might have put you on his back against the Jaguars, but that's not going to happen here. Jonathan Taylor can't outscore Josh Allen by himself. I have to go with the Buffalo Bills in this first game. Saturday, 1 o'clock, Buffalo takes the win. Next game, the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams. I do not even want to watch this game. Let me tell you why. These two teams faced off several weeks ago where the Seahawks won 20-9. It was a boring game, though. In the first half of the game, there was only a combined 12 points scored. Are you joking? 12 points? It wasn't until the second half of that game that the Seahawks were able to take control of things a little bit, and they won 20-9. So I'm kind of worried. Both these teams are kind of heading in the wrong direction, in my opinion. We have the Seahawks. They had a nice win against the Jets, but it's the Jets. Then they beat Washington 20-15, 20 points scored. They beat LA 20-9, 20 points scored. And they beat San Francisco barely in a game that they easily could have lost 26-23. Their offense hasn't been performing as well as it was earlier in the season. Los Angeles on the other side of things. Los Angeles, they had a loss to the Jets, which is definitely brutal. They scored 20 points. They beat the Patriots pretty easily, 24-3. Their defense played good. Then they lost to Seattle, obviously, 20-9. Their offense trolled. And then they beat Arizona in a game Arizona should have won if they were trying. I don't know. Arizona's kind of fluky, I guess. But Los Angeles, the main thing I want to point out with them, their defense. You look at the last couple of games they played, their defense has held opponents to a very low amount of yards, a very low amount of points. That's how you win games. So Seahawks versus Rams, I'm not even joking. Before I started recording this video, I was going to say the Seahawks were going to win this game. I'm looking at things right now. The Rams defense, I watched the game against the Cardinals. I was impressed by what I saw with their defense. Big plays against, obviously, a backup quarterback. But, hey, the NFL is the NFL, so I kind of like the Rams against the Seahawks. I got to kind of convince myself to choose LA. I think Seattle should be favored just because, who knows, is Jared Goff injured? I don't even know. Someone let me know down below. Is Jared Goff going to play this game? And then we have, obviously, Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's so experienced in the playoffs. Obviously, he should be favored right here. Russell Wilson in the playoffs, he's electric. I wouldn't be surprised if the Seattle Seahawks do somehow score 40 points just because of the Russell Wilson factor. They do have a really good offense, but as of late, the Rams defense has been playing really good. I'm choosing Los Angeles to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I feel good about it. I feel good. Let's go. Los Angeles gets the win against Seattle. Game number 3, the Buccaneers against the Washington football team. Now, the Buccaneers definitely deserve to be here. They debatably could have won the NFC South if a couple of things went right for them. However, the Buccaneers, Mike Evans, he looked like he had a pretty bad injury to his knee. We're going to have to see the extent of that injury. If Mike Evans is sidelined for that game, that could be bad. And let me tell you why. You know, without Mike Evans, their offense still looks pretty solid. AB, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski and everything. But Mike Evans and Tom Brady, they were finally starting to mesh. They finally had a little bit of a chemistry forming. And that's going to be a big loss. The size advantage, Mike Evans with that deep red zone threat, and now it's basically just Gronk. So it's definitely going to be tough for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to score as much as they were the last couple of weeks, because I've seen the Buccaneers have an offense that can score points just like the Chiefs, and I've seen them have an offense that can score points just like the Jets. So which offense is going to show up right here? Where they're playing against the Washington football team. Washington, do they deserve to be here? Does any NFC East team deserve to be here? Now, did the Eagles throw that game? That's a different story. But Washington, their defensive front has been playing very well. Very good defensive line from Washington. What I'm concerned with, I like how Alex Smith has been playing at quarterback, but what concerns me is Terry McLaurin. McLaurin's playing through a high ankle sprain. He has been for the last couple of weeks. He obviously took a week of rest, basically. He didn't play against the Panthers, I believe, so he did have a little bit of a week of rest, but then he played against the Eagles. He got a touchdown, so you could tell he wasn't fully healed, though, because he wasn't as dynamic as usual, so he's not going to be full strength. That worries me. Long story short, I'm giving this win to the Buccaneers for sure. It is in Washington. It is a home field advantage for the 7-9 team against the 11-5 team, but give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for sure. You did your best, Washington. You got here, which is good. Well, not really for your draft picks, but hey, you got to the playoffs, and 3 other teams in your division can't say that. Buccaneers win. Ravens versus Titans. Oh, big rematch right here. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, they've been playing better as of late. They've had some nice wins. They beat the Browns, who the Titans obviously got destroyed by. And the Ravens, just all in all, their offense has been clicking. Marquise Brown is finally having a huge role in that offense. He's having some nice plays downfield. Lamar Jackson's doing it with his legs. Now, they were the Ravens. The reason they're in this playoffs, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade, but they do have the easiest schedule in the league. That was decided before the season even began. Their closing schedule, Browns, Jaguars, Giants, Bengals. Come on. I mean, they were all easy wins for this team. The Browns game, that proved what kind of a team this was. They really showed up in that game, scored 47. Defense, a little suspect. Then they had 3 easy wins. They have momentum heading into the playoffs. Momentum is key. The reason that I think the Baltimore Ravens, honestly, they could be favored to win this game. This is a toss-up. The Bills versus Colts, that's an easy game. Buccaneers versus Washington, easy choice. This game, 50-50. I like the Tennessee Titans, though. Not only do the Titans have a 2,000-yard rusher, he's the best running back in the league right now, without a doubt. Even if McCaffrey was healthy, I still think Derrick Henry would be outplaying him. And what they can do off of the run, the Titans have a really good run game. Obviously, everyone knows that. Their offensive line makes giant holes. Derrick Henry does the rest. But their passing game, their play action, that's what I really like to see. And especially the last couple of weeks, Ryan Tannehill has had a couple of huge runs. They've been doing some like draw options where the quarterback can fake it to the running back and instead just run himself, and that's kind of been useful against defenses. It keeps them on their toes. I really like the Titans' offense. Their defense just got exposed by Houston. Not really by Houston, more Deshaun Watson. Who can blame him? Deshaun Watson does a lot by himself. So we'll toss it up to error. So the Tennessee defense has to show up big right here. They have to be able to contain Lamar Jackson. They can't have Lamar Jackson do what Deshaun Watson just did, or things might not go great. The Titans have to control the pace of this game with Derrick Henry, and if they do that, I like Tennessee's odds to win this game. Bears versus Saints. Now, this game is in New Orleans. The Bears, I really want to choose the Bears. David Montgomery, he carried my fantasy team. David Montgomery's been a stud as of late, and the Bears have, honestly, they're doing the right thing. They're giving it to the hot hand. They're feeding David Montgomery as they should, but it wasn't able to beat the Green Bay Packers. Now, the Packers and Saints, both two of the best teams from the NFC, to be honest, And if the Bears can't beat the Packers, that was a playoff game. Bears versus Packers. The Bears, if they lost that game, there was a chance they were eliminated. So for them, they played their hardest, and they fell short badly. Their amazing defense did have some moments of shine in that game, but ultimately they gave up too many points. Davante Adams was too much. Now, can they beat this team, the New Orleans Saints? The New Orleans Saints have Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara. Who? Alvin Kamara, that's right. 6 touchdowns himself. Alvin Kamara, he's similar to Davante Adams in the way he can take over a game. I like the New Orleans Saints odds right here. Home game for New Orleans. The way that Drew Brees has been passing the ball, not last week, but the week before, that kind of concerns me, and especially earlier in the season. So we'll have to see if he can do anything, in the air against this really solid Bears defense. If the Bears defense shows up and David Montgomery takes over this game, Bears they do have a shot. Allen Robinson, he can do some stuff too, definitely. But I like the Saints odds right here. Give me the New Orleans Saints to win this game. The final game, Sunday Night Football, 8 o'clock. The third time these teams face off, the Browns versus Steelers. Wow, Cleveland. Cleveland, really good job. You know what? The Cleveland Browns actually deserve to be in the playoffs. They have a good record. They beat some tough teams, and the Browns deserve to be here. The Browns could easily have a higher record than the Steelers. There was a couple close games for them. A couple close games for Pittsburgh too, but this is a good matchup. Oh, wait, it's not. The Browns barely beat the Steelers when 9 of their starters were out. I could see Ben Roethlisberger coming off the bench. We saw how the Steelers performed against the Bengals. Yeah, the Steelers versus Bengals, if that Steelers offense shows up against Cleveland, things could be bad. But I think that the Steelers from earlier in the season, I think they'll show up right here. They did just get a week of rest. The Steelers did have a bye week robbed from them earlier in the season due to COVID. So now they're well rested, you could say. 9 of their starters were out against Cleveland, and Cleveland barely won. It could have been a tie game if Mason Rudolph got the flag that he won in that 2-point conversion. I like the Steelers odds right here. Give me the home team Steelers in this game against the Cleveland Browns. All right, guys, let me just recap. We have Bills over Colts, Rams over Seahawks, Buccaneers versus Washington, Titans over Ravens, Saints over Bears, and Steelers versus Browns. If you want to see a video where I predict every single round of the playoffs, including these predictions right here, so we'll go all the way to the Super Bowl, let me know down below. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and there you go.